5 men have been jailed for their roles in a vicious robbery in Birmingham. The terrified victim was kicked, burned with a lighter and forced to strip in the street. The man, aged in his 20s, was hit with a glass bottle and threatened with being stabbed and shot if he tried to run off during the horrific ordeal in Lozells Road in Lozells on September the 16th last year. He was slapped, burned with a lighter and forced to take off his clothes before he was stamped on and kicked whilst on the floor. Police reviewed all available evidence and swiftly identified and arrested the attackers. The attack had been recorded and posted on social media as they looked to humiliate the victim, but this backfired as it helped lead to every single one of their convictions. 5 men tried to deny their part in the attack but were convicted following a trial, and that Snapchat video that they made, as I said, helped lead to them being convicted. Zeshan Hussain, who's 23, was convicted of robbery and sentenced to 5 years at Birmingham Crown Court. It comes after Mohammed Hamza Mia, Saleh Ahmed, Nadir Mohammed and Roman Ahmed were jailed in August for their roles in the attack last year. Police said the victim was approached by Mia and Hussain, who said they wanted to talk to him, have a little chat with him. He was then threatened. They grabbed him up, they forced him against the wall, and then they started searching every single pocket of his. Saleh Ahmed, Roman Ahmed and Mohammed joined in and assaulted him. They took his chain and then they started battering him. Mohammed Hamza Mia was jailed for 6.5 years. Zeshan Hussain was jailed for 5 years for robbery. Saleh Ahmed, for who's 23, Nadir Mohammed and Roman Ahmed were each jailed for 5.5 years for attempted wounding. Speaking after the case, Detective Constable Naomi Guzda from the police's robbery team said this was a savage attack with the group prepared to use violence and then try to humiliate their victim by putting it all over on social media. However, this backfired on them and they have lost their freedom for a number of years. They said tackling robbery is a priority for the police and the force in running Operation Ruby in efforts to catch anyone involved, and we've got extra patrols going around Lozells to catch individuals like these guys. Absolute madness, guys. And in another news story coming from Birmingham ways, a drive-by gunman tried to murder mourners at a wake for a teenage knife victim. A schoolgirl aged 14 was among 4 people injured as the armed thug opened fire at St Mary's Church Hall in the same area as the last story, Lozells. Shots were blasted on February the 24th last year as mourners gathered in memory of 17-year-old Akeem Bailey, a teenager who was stabbed to death in a phone row. At around 6 o'clock in the evening, 4 shots were fired from a stolen Nissan Qashqai towards a crowd of people before the car sped off from Hampstead Road. 2 19-year-olds were shot, one in the chest and another in the left foot, and a man aged 18 was hit in the right knee, whilst a girl aged 14 was injured when people fleeing the gunshots knocked her over and trampled on top of her. Police later found the Nissan Qashqai abandoned 2 miles away in Little Francis Grove in Nechells. Meshach Berryman, who opened fire from the back seat of the vehicle, believed rival gang members would be at the wake despite Mr. Bailey having no gang links at all. He was found guilty of 3 attempted murder charges at a 3-week trial at Birmingham Crown Court, and Berryman had earlier admitted possession with intent to supply crack cocaine and cannabis and more than 40 wraps of drugs along with digital scales which were found at his home. He is going to be sentenced on December the 6th, and although he was convicted earlier this year, the full details could not be reported until now, as one of his co-defendants was cleared of all allegations, which were 3 counts of attempted murder, as a jury found him not guilty. Detective Inspector Francis Knock from the Force's Major Crime Team said this was a targeted shooting at a gathering of people who had come to pay their respects to a young man who had himself lost his life to violent crime. When the young man who died did not have any connection to gangs, Berryman believed there would be people linked to gangs at his wake. This could easily have been a triple murder investigation, and it's by sheer luck that the people weren't killed on that evening. We put a huge number of officers into the investigation to ensure we had a really clear picture of what had happened on that day. CCTV, mobile phone and forensic evidence placed Berryman in the car at the time that the shots were fired, and he is now facing many years behind bars. Gun crime causes absolute misery to the families of those who are injured or killed, and it can spread fear among residents whose neighbourhoods are impacted. Our major crime teams work with local officers to build a clear picture of who is involved in gun crime in an area like Lozells and take decisive action to get them off the streets and put them behind bars. So guys, any other viewers from Birmingham, what is Lozells like? Is it really this dangerous? Literally 2 stories, one a young lad getting jacked on the road, and here we've got a shooting. Is it really that bad? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, in this next news story, a National Crime Agency investigation has led to the conviction of 3 men for people smuggling offences, including a fixer suspected of being behind dozens of cross-channel small boat crossings. Birmingham-based British national Pistiawan Jamil, who's 54, who came to the UK from Iraq in 2002, had contacts with people smuggling gangs based in France and would broker spaces for his clients whilst also collecting payments in the UK. NCA surveillance officers watched as Jamil met one such client, an Albanian national, Artan Halilajaj, in Birmingham on the 1st of September 2023. Handover of cash took place, and shortly afterwards Jamil made a phone call in which he was heard to say he had my 3 passengers all good to go, all okay. Artan Halilaj, who was at the time living in Southall, had arrived himself on a small boat from Belgium early that year. He claimed asylum but disappeared from the hotel where he was supposed to be staying, as his claim was processed by the Home Office. Artan was organising passage for his relative Fiorentino Halilaj, who crossed the channel in a small boat the next day on the 2nd of September. His phone was taken into the possession of the immigrant authorities, and it was later handed to the NCA, and it was found to contain a contact for Jamil. Over the following days, NCA officers were able to record his side of a number of conversations Jamil had with criminal associates, in which he arranged crossings for his customers, often referring to migrants as pigeons or sticks. On one occasion, he complained that competition in the people smuggling market was driving prices down. In another conversation, he claimed to have made at least $2 million for his criminal networks through his contacts. Another conversation suggested that he was involved in moving a migrant to Turkey from the Middle East and expected to earn around $10,000 from that enterprise. Artan and Jamil were arrested by NCA officers on the 23rd of October 2023, while Fiorentino was arrested the following day at the Immigration Detention Centre where he is being held. Jamil's phone was found to contain information relating to up to 50 people who had entered the UK illegally on small boats during 2022 and 2023, including images taken on boats in the channel. Artan and Fiorentino Halilaj were both charged with 1 count of facilitating illegal immigration, while Jamal was charged with 2 counts. Jamal and Fiorentino both pleaded guilty, while Artan denied involvement, but he was found guilty today following a week-long trial, and all 3 are going to be sentenced on the 3rd of December. NCA Branch Operations Manager Paul Jones said it's clear from the evidence we were able to gather over the course of our investigation that Pistiawan Jamil was a prolific UK-based broker for people smuggling gangs in France. The true number of crossings that Jamil facilitated will never be known, but the evidence indicates that he has been assisting in the movements of migrants illegally into the UK for a considerable amount of time. People smugglers like him don't care about the safety and security of those they transport, and is quite happy to put people in life-threatening situations on the sea in flimsy dinghies so you could just make a lot of money. This is why we're attacking the gangs involved in organised immigration crime, and it remains a priority for the NCA, and we'll do all we can to disrupt and dismantle